All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a classic, The Fable of the Greedy Dog, to really get into that nitty-gritty of the very adult psychology of human greed. Now, you might vaguely remember this story from when you were a kid, but today, we're not just skimming some simple bedtime tale. We're going to put this narrative under a microscope, dissecting the exact anatomy of a catastrophic mistake and, the underlying psychology that actually drives it. But before we start completely deconstructing the text, I want you to ask yourself a pretty profound question. Have you ever lost everything simply because you wanted more? Think about that for a second. Because today, we are breaking down the precise anatomy of a terrible decision. We're going to see, step by step, how fast rational thought can be completely hijacked by the blind desire to just accumulate more stuff. So, our narrative kicks off with a massive victory. As the source text outlines, a dog successfully pulls off the absolute ultimate heist, securing this massive stolen bone from the local butcher's shop. I mean, he's won. He took the risk, he grabbed the prize, and he got away clean. This right here is the absolute peak of his success. It's that moment where he has exactly what he set out to get. And honestly, his master plan is perfectly laid out. 1, steal the big bone. 2, run to the jungle by the river. And 3, eat in total peace. It's incredibly methodical, right? It really shows you just how confident and completely in control he was right before disaster struck. He had a clear objective and a rock-solid strategy to go enjoy his newfound wealth. Everything is going exactly to plan. But here's what's truly fascinating. The environment itself actually sets the trap. Our protagonist is crossing a small bridge, and it's the transparent river water underneath that acts as the trigger. That clear, reflective surface creates this absolutely perfect optical illusion. Without this specific setting, without that water acting as a mirror, this entire psychological cascade simply wouldn't happen. The environment is literally about to test him. So, looking down into that crystal clear water, he sees a reflection that he completely misinterprets as a rival dog. Boom. Suddenly, his reality is pitted against this incredibly tempting illusion. On one side, you've got the real bone, secure, singular, and possessing it just requires him to be satisfied with what he already has. But on the flip side, we have the shadow bone. It's this tempting illusion promising to double his wealth. But, and here's the kicker, it is fundamentally unattainable. It is literally just a trick of the light. The source text actually reveals his exact internal monologue here, and it perfectly captures that split second where logic is just entirely hijacked by pure greed. He thinks to himself, if I get that bone too, I'll have 2. Notice the total absence of critical thinking there. He doesn't pause to question why this other dog is mimicking his exact movements. He doesn't stop to calculate the physical impossibility of holding 2 massive bones in one mouth at the exact same time. The mere concept of doubling his wealth just completely blinds him to reality. He becomes entirely fixated on stealing this shadow prize. But as observers, we really have to pause the action here and ask, at what cost? What is he actually risking to get it? To grab the illusion, he has to gamble his very real, very secure reality. It's a moment of peak tension. He's standing on that bridge, rich with his stolen prize, completely oblivious to the fact that he is about to become his own worst enemy. And then, in a moment of absolute absurdity, he takes the fatal action. Driven completely by greed, he barks at the illusion to intimidate his supposed rival and steal that second bone. Just let that sink in for a second. He barks. To bark, you physically have to open your mouth. He completely forgets the physical reality of the bone currently held in his own jaws. Greed doesn't just make him want more, it creates this massive mental blind spot, making him literally forget what he already safely possesses. Let's actually slow this action right down and see how incredibly fast it all falls apart. Second 1, he opens his mouth to bark. Second 2, gravity takes over and his real bone falls. Second 3, just silence and deep water. The splash. The realization. I mean, in literally 3 seconds, a perfectly executed heist turns into an absolute disaster. There is no undo button here, folks. The deep water claims his prize instantly. The really crucial point to take away here is the sheer totality of his loss. He lost his original bone, he gained absolutely nothing from the water, and he's left completely empty-handed. He goes instantly from being a successful, wealthy thief to a total victim of his own unchecked desires. The illusion vanished the very second the water rippled, taking his real wealth straight down to the riverbed with it. Which brings us to the core philosophical proverb derived from our text, translating roughly to, in greed is sin is death. Now, obviously, in the context of our story, death isn't a literal end of life. It's the death of his success, the death of his hard-earned feast. It really highlights the ultimate moral here. Excessive greed isn't just a minor slip-up. It's a deeply destructive force. It completely kills our current happiness and leads straight to our downfall, all because we become too obsessed with the illusion of having more. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to connect this foolish mistake directly back to our own lives. I want to ask you, what shadow bone are you currently chasing? Are you risking something real, something valuable and perfectly secure right now for an illusion of doubled wealth that might just be a reflection? Take a second to really think about that. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating text, and remember, always appreciate the real bone you already have.